What's up, everybody? We are back at Around the Mat Pod. I am your host at the PJ North. Thank you for joining us, man. If you're watching along on Twitch, thanks for joining us on this beautiful Thursday. We're going to talk all things wrestling. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out. Super easy. All you got to do is like and subscribe. Make a comment, man. Let us know what your thoughts are on all the comments or all the things that we're talking about this week. Also, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, leave a 5-star, leave a 1-star. Let us know what you're thinking, man. Share with your friends. Tell everybody that you love Around the Mat Pod. Also, if you love the podcast, follow us on all social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, obviously Twitter, at Around the Mat Pod. And let us know that you want to join. Let us know you want to join the pod. Come on the pod and talk some wrestling with us. It's been a big week. Obviously, SummerSlam is in our rearview mirror, and we are on the road to All In. Wembley, Dynamite was incredible last night, and I can't wait to talk about those things. So I brought some friends along. With that, in the bottom left, he is the greatest Canadian referee of all time, Brad Myers Refs. Brad, what's going on, baby?
Listen, I appreciate the compliment, but greatest Canadian ref of all time, that is a lot to put on my plate.
I mean, is it though?
It is. I mean, we got guys like Jimmy Corderas, man.
I keep forgetting Corderas is a great Canadian referee, right?
Yeah, shout out to him and Harry D, my two mentors.
Okay, awesome. It's a great question, but I'm going to ask you something. But in the bottom right, we've got my man back again. He is the elegant illustrator. They call him Tyler. Tyler, what's going on, baby?
What's up, PJ? Glad to be back, man. Big weekend coming up in wrestling. Glad to join you and the best Canadian ref of all time.
I love to hear it, man. We are excited to talk a little wrestling. As I mentioned, I do want to ask, Brad, who trained you? Did you go to wrestling school? Obviously, you did a little bit, probably took some bumps on it, but who trained you to be a referee?
Dustin Perry, alumni
Dustin
of the podcast. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, alumni of the podcast, Dustin Perry, and then learned from Harry D, who used to work for WCW a lot, and also Jimmy Corderas as well. He's an ace.
Amazing. Do you guys ever, I guess a lot of the companies take care of their visas and things like that, so it's probably not easy, but have any of your friends or anything got that like emergency phone call because a referee couldn't make it across the border?
No.
Okay.
I wish.
Yeah, that'd be sick, right? Just shows up in Ottawa, and someone's like, "Oh my God, I forgot my referee gear," and they're like, "We gotta call somebody," and Brad's on the horn. That's kind of my.
It's always in my car, brother. It's always in my car.
I love it. Well, man, we're gonna talk all things wrestling. As we know, it is a big week. We're getting ready to go to All In Wembley this Sunday. If you're watching live, let us know, man. We want to know what your thoughts are. It's gonna be electric. I can't wait to see it. Obviously, there's a lot of talk with a lot of things with the Warner Brothers deal and all the stuff that Tony Khan eggs on the dirt sheets and all those things with the new streaming. But in the meantime, we will have to buy on pay-per-view, or if you're near Dave & Buster's, I think some of them show. With me, of course, in the wrestling chat, we're going to get together and watch a little wrestling. So I can't wait till Sunday. But before we do that, we're going to go into the headlines of the week. It's that time again. And first up, contract talks everywhere. Contract talks with Warner Brothers deal and the new media deal. I don't know what's going to happen. We've got Ricochet. Supposedly today it's announced that he's showing up in AEW, which dirt sheets ruin everything, just to be clear. Everybody's on a contract, right? Gable just announced that he re-signed, and all of these folks. And Randy Orton's back for 5 years. What are your guys' take? I guess I probably should have hit the timer. What are your guys' takes on the contract talks, man? For me, as I mentioned, it's a really cool aspect when journalists talk about it, like actual. So like, when I see some of these things that comment on other sports, like Front Office Sports or ESPN or things like that, I do think it's intriguing. The one thing that's crazy is that they don't talk about monetary. So it's like they want to tell you that they re-signed, but it doesn't really. So it's not, there's like this fake sport thing to it, but they're not really giving into it. And so for me, I don't really care. Honestly, man, I don't really care but it's a cool sometimes that at least your favorite wrestler is going to be there for a while, or your least favorite wrestler is going to return. But Brad, what are your thoughts, man, on the contract talks and everything that comes out right now?
I love it. I think the more the better. I do agree with you, though. The dirt sheets kind of ruin everything. I want the surprise of Ricochet showing up on AEW. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that's where he's going to end up. But the surprise of him showing up one day would have been amazing, and you get that true natural pop as opposed to everyone now just waiting for it. Similar to with Adam Cole, similar to with Bryan Danielson. The only cool thing they did there was they had both of them debut, and we only thought we were going to get one.
Sure.
But I do, like you said, I like the sports aspect of it, and we don't talk monetary, which I understand.
Sure.
Especially because there's a lot of guaranteed rates, and
it's really confusing though because it's a publicly traded company, for example, on the WWE side, right? TKO. So technically, but because they're independent contractors, there's a way to put that in the accounting, so you don't have to show it. So technically, you don't have to show what you're paying those people, which, like I said, it's just a little, for me, it's kind of annoying, but I get what you're saying.
And there's no salary cap, so it's not like WWE can only spend a certain amount of money.
That would be electric. That would really even the playing field as if we had a salary cap in professional wrestling.
You give a salary cap to Raw, you give a salary cap to SmackDown, you give a salary cap to NXT. Make those numbers public, and let's have a time with it.
Yeah, that's cool. That'd be a great idea. I love that idea, making it a little more sports worthy. What about you, Tyler? What are your thoughts, man, on all the contract talk that goes along?
I'm kind of like you, man. I'm not big on the contract talks. I think that is, especially with the internet nowadays, I think that's one other thing the internet has ruined for us. I like the aspect of surprise. I'm going to be really upset if I see any sightings of Shane McMahon and London or England or wherever. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, don't tell me. I want to be surprised. Man, I may turn off honestly, I may not be able to go on social media other than to post because that's what happens, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, if something like that is going to be so huge, and if some dirt sheet dude, puts that out online, I feel like it's going to ruin it for a lot of people. As far as the contracts, though, it really doesn't bother me. I'm like, I don't care how long, who's going to be where for, just let it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially because it's not, my thing is the sport thing. It's like all of us who really like sports and also like wrestling love the sport aspect of wrestling. But all of my friends who don't like sports that like wrestling probably don't care, right? They're like, whatever, man. But I get the whole allure, right? It's like the free agent thing. It's like it's very similar to baseball or basketball or football where you're like, hey, man, this guy's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. And that's a cool aspect, right? What I wish would happen is they show them after they show up, then you announce the contract negotiation.
Let me run this idea past you. What if you kayfabed all the numbers, right? So like Randy Orton signs this, Orton signs the SmackDown for $10 million a year or whatever, and then like if you're gonna really run with the sports aspect of it, go full in. But
it's like the half thing, right? It's really halfway right now, which is where it's bothersome. And then they announce the contract signing. And it ruins the whole thing. Like, that's where I'm like, if AEW was smart, your people aren't going to buy All In because Ricochet now has announced that he signed with AEW.
No, 100%.
However,
people are going to buy that regardless.
He shows up on AEW. People might tune in. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's that aspect of it. I just think it's ruined by a little bit of it. Like I said, I just wish that they're like, this guy's a free agent. We don't know what's going to happen. Then it happens. Then all the dirt sheets can say whatever they want. Whatever they want to post, they can post it, man. I see every day. I see something from WON Radio, right? Wrestling Observer News or whatever it's called. I see all of these so-called news outlets sharing something that Meltzer said, and it's almost always wrong. Mm-hmm. And then SRS is always saying some dumb shit, and I'm just like, you guys ruin everything. And you can't. I'll be honest with you. You can't get away from it, right? That's the other thing. It's like it's impossible. No matter what you do. You can't get away from it. You could unfollow every single person, and Twitter is still going to throw it at you because you look at other wrestling stuff. It's so frustrating. Anyways, that's a headline, contract talks. But next headline, Pat McAfee is leaving Raw. He's going away because College Game Day is back. Now, I know for a Canadian, you guys don't believe in college football or rules
that is false.
Are correct.
We love college football up here, man. I can't wait for College Game Day.
I'm very excited, man. Pat McAfee, though, gone. And I wanted to talk about this because I think it's a really big thing is that Pat McAfee leaves, but he still does the job, right? So he gets Sheamus on College Game Day. Hey, man, we're going to Dublin, Ireland. Let's have Sheamus do the pick'em. I don't know of someone better for WWE in the last... This is real talk. Outside of wrestlers, so outside of Cody, Roman, Rock, all those, I don't know a single person in professional wrestling that has done more for professional wrestling than Pat McAfee in the last 10 years. I just think, and that's kind of my opinion of it, I'm going to miss him. I think he makes Michael Cole better. I think he makes pro wrestling better. He makes Raw better. So
you know what it is about it? He's having fun, and you can tell he's having fun.
Right.
When Cole's not with him, Cole seems a little more reserved. But when he's with Pat McAfee, like the chains are off. He's having a good time. They're laughing on commentary.
Yeah.
It's like they dial back the seriousness a little bit in order to show how fun it is, which is awesome.
Yeah, because
it's
Michael Cole still can reel it in, and so can Pat. Pat can really narrow it down when he has to, right? And he can like get analytical about it. The Pat-istrator is one of the best things. Tyler, what's your thought on Pat McAfee overall and leaving?
I agree with you, man. Pat McAfee is probably one of the best things that's happened to wrestling, and I would say maybe 15, 20 years, especially as far as commentators go.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking like transitioning from like a JR and the King, I mean, it's going to be hard to replace a duo like that. And I mean, I feel like we have the modern day duo of that with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. And like you said, Michael Cole, I feel like, is doing some of his best work ever.
I didn't care about Michael Cole at all before
Pat
showed up,
did.
man. I just think I like real talking. It's really hard, like you said. That's a perfect example. Following Lawler and Ross, and then to have to do, it's like one, he was set up for failure almost.
Yeah, you're screwed from the beginning.
I also cannot stand Taz on commentary. I hate it.
Really?
I think it's terrible. I don't like it at all. I didn't like him on SmackDown back in the day. I didn't like him on TNA. I'm not a Taz guy. So Michael Cole has really always been like not my, like I just really didn't care for it. And then when he went to Raw with Lawler and did all this stuff, I just was like, man, I don't, and everyone's like, he's been there so long, but really his career really started, in my opinion, when at the beginning he was great in the Attitude Era, obviously as a backstage guy. But his real career and like longevity thing and like what I'm going to remember him for is his stuff with Pat lately, especially. I just think he's done such a great job. And I don't know, man, losing Pat. Here's my other question for the group. What do you think the pairings are going to be moving into Netflix? Because obviously Pat will be back, but he's not going to be back for day one of Netflix, I don't think.
Didn't they just hire a guy from
Joe Tessitore?
ESPN?
Joe Tessitore is amazing. I think he's going to do a really great job. I hope, because as you know, they have struggled with hires outside of the industry who just are put into that position, right? I mean, Mike Adamle, obviously, he was set up for failure from the beginning. That's a known thing. That's unfortunate for him. But a lot of guys, it's hard. But I think Joe Tessitore, who does college football, he does NBA, or he doesn't do NBA, he does college football, baseball. He does some other stuff for ESPN, so he's very good. But I think, I don't know who, he's obviously a main guy like Michael Cole. He's not, you know what I mean? He's not a color guy like Pat. So I don't know. Brad, who are you thinking? Or Tyler?
Honestly, I think, go ahead.
I think it just breaks down to basic life, man. If you can go to work and have fun, you're going to perform that much better. And I think that's what both of them are doing.
Yeah. Yeah. My hope is that, who do you think Tyler's going to, so do you think it's going to be Cole and Barrett, and then Graves and Tessitore? Because Graves obviously is a great third man on the PLEs and all that stuff with Pat and them. So he can do the color thing or the main guy. I don't know what their plan is. Do you have a thought?
I think I'm not a big fan of Wade Barrett on commentary.
Yeah.
I think that'll probably be the pairing that
I think he has to be Drew McIntyre's manager. I don't know why they haven't done that yet. They got to pull the trigger.
I'm with you on that. That sounds great.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't pulled the trigger. Brad, who are you thinking replaces Pat for the time being?
It's honestly, and this is going to sound terrible, but it's a shame that Punk's healthy now, because I think Punk and Cole on commentary would have been really, really good.
Yeah.
But I think it's got to be Graves. As much as it's like it's a step backwards, I think the move is to call Vic Joseph up from NXT and put him on SmackDown as your main guy.
Yeah.
But it's tough for sure.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man, because obviously Kevin didn't make it. But he's got a better gig with soccer now. But he couldn't fill Pat's shoes. Obviously made it difficult. So we'll see what happens, man. Interesting. All right, last headline. Raw is better than SmackDown right now by a long shot. I think SmackDown is a one-trick pony, and I think it's Cody Rhodes. The Bloodline thing, obviously, in my opinion, Cody Rhodes goes with the Bloodline. Just right now, they're still kind of intertwined, so I'm calling that one thing. Raw is just leaps and bounds better. I mean, just significantly more entertaining. Even at 3 hours, it's more entertaining than the 2 hours that SmackDown is. So yeah, that's the third headline, man. Raw, and obviously this week again another pretty good Raw. Sheamus and Pete and Pete Dunne was unbelievable. They were just beating the shit out of each other. I saw a fan cam today where it was like Pete and Sheamus working stiff, and he's got him with the wrist lock or the wrist hold. He's holding onto the wrist and he's just kicking Sheamus right in the face. And I was like, holy shit! So I thought that was really good. But man, my thoughts are obviously, in my opinion, Cody Rhodes should be on Raw, and they should move Damian Priest and that stuff to SmackDown. That's obviously you can't just swap shows right now, but down the road, I assume Netflix is going to be the A show.
It has to be.
So you got to move Cody Rhodes over, or whatever. But yeah, so I think, like I said, outside of the Bloodline and Cody Rhodes, I have no interest in watching SmackDown right now. What are your guys' thoughts, Brad?
Yeah, I'm going to echo the same thing. It's crazy how 2 years ago everyone was complaining that extra third hour of Raw just made it unwatchable, and now
like
if they added a fourth hour, sign me up. It's been unbelievable.
Right? Yeah, if they had more matches even on Raw, I would be in. Like, they have so many wrestlers in the back, obviously, that aren't doing shit. Would be even cool. I do think, like I said, the third hour is still way long. There's still stuff where I'm like, please get rid of this shit. But
there's still a lot of filler, but what's not filler and what matters on Raw matters on Raw.
1,000%.
Whereas on SmackDown, there's less time, but there's still the same amount of filler.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Tyler? What's your thoughts, man?
I agree with both you guys. I mean, I think that Raw, even like you said, at the 3 hour point, it is still much more watchable than SmackDown. I think one of the big things is they, like, all across the board, mid card, main event, everything has a decent storyline. It's easy to, really be intrigued on, keep your attention for the full 3 hours. Whereas, like you said, with SmackDown, I'm pretty much fast forwarding everything except Bloodline and Cody.
But that's 100% it, man. And I think that's why they start with Cody and end with Bloodline. They're just like, this is what we have. Because I think right now people are just not in. I'm not into DIY. I'm not into Waller in theory. I'm not into Jade and Bianca, unfortunately. Alba Fire and them are almost so bad. The women's tag team division is tough right now. And they have a lot of great tag teams. But there's like, the great tag teams aren't really meshing in the ring, which is making it even harder, because then it's like, well, now they don't even have storyline to fall back on, and the matches are dog shit. So I'm like, wow, this sucks. It's really hard for them. And I'm not a wrestler, but I'm saying, like, from a viewer's perspective, it's not intriguing at all. And the U.S. heavyweight title was really cool with LA Knight and Logan Paul, but, like, okay, now what?
Yeah, right? Where do you go from there?
Yeah, and I think that's really, really hard. Like I said, SmackDown, man, just really they're just not hitting on all cylinders right now.
I think a big thing for SmackDown is now you took Randy Orton out of that equation. You stuck him on Raw for the big storyline there with Gunther, which is, I think, a huge takeaway from SmackDown when they really don't have much to begin with.
I agree with that sentiment for sure. And Randy Orton being on Raw is really good, because I think him and Gunther is going to bang. And so now the question is Randy Orton a part of Raw? Real talk.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself.
Yeah, so I don't. In reality, in my personal preference, what I would have done was had Orton turn heel and say, "Hey, I was the runner-up in King of the Ring. I deserve a title shot, not Kevin Owens." And then I would have given Ilya Dragunov or somebody another match at Berlin against Gunther, or gave Damian Priest a rematch, and then you further that storyline even more in Berlin. You can have Finn screw him again or whatever that may be. They're still doing cool stuff. I think Orton versus Cody would have been the better world title story, and you could have strung that out a few matches. Obviously, you could have had Orton win by DQ or something, or Cody win by DQ or whatever you want. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good point, man. Pulling Orton away from SmackDown was tough. So we'll see what happens. All right. Those were the headlines, man. A lot of good headlines this week. A lot of different information. It is that time, though. It is all in Pick'em. We're going to go through the matches. We're not going to go through all of them. We're going to go through
there are way too many, as per usual, for AEW.
In their defense, I'll give them this. In their defense, they do have Wembley people coming in. They've got pre-show stuff, 0 hour stuff, and all of those things. getting to it, which makes sense, right? They got to have all of those. I'm going to pull up the All In 2024 card here, but they have a lot of time to fill at Wembley, and it's a big thing, and I get that part of it. But I thought Dynamite, first, before we go any further, I thought Dynamite was excellent last night. I do skip around on Dynamite a lot, but I thought there were a lot of great highlights. Obviously, Okada versus Cesaro, two of my favorite wrestlers. Okada being my favorite wrestler, behind Cody, and Cesaro being one of my favorite guys forever, was amazing. I thought it was a really fun match. I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed the promo with Max Caster. I really enjoyed the promos between Will and MJF, and I believe MJF smoked. I believe Will smoked MJF, regardless of the wife line. I thought that the funny thing was, as he goes to whisper in his ear, I said his exact line as he's about to say it, and I can't tell if I've watched too much wrestling, and so I knew what he was going to say, or if that's my wizardry with that. So I don't know, but I thought Dynamite was really good. Brad, what was your thought on Dynamite?
Yeah, I thought it was great. It was a perfect go-home show. Really got everybody who's on the card at Wembley, at least your main marquee matches in there.
Yep.
I thought the Danielson promo was incredible.
I did too. I thought Swerve's promo was really great. He talked a little long, but I thought that was really good.
I just love that Danielson said, I'm the best wrestler in the world.
I'm the best fucking wrestler in
the world. It just little things like that. Yeah. Like, I'm not huge on swearing on TV. I don't think you really need it for wrestling.
You don't really need it anymore, yeah, for sure.
Every once in a while, it works. And that was one of those circumstances. And the other one I can think of off the top of my head was with MJF. That was the only other time that, dropping an F-bomb on TV would have been warranted. Yeah. You're right. Will absolutely smoked MJF, which is something that I never thought I would say.
He not only did he say, like, he did some like British things, right? He was talking about like very British things and still made sense, but he wasn't like overly. He normally, sometimes he yells like consistently, but he was very like up and down. He did a good job. The same way that MJF carries his promos, where he's like up and down and up and very with the cadence and the his voice and all that stuff. I thought that was good.
I love the line about Tony Khan called me because he needed a guy who could have a banger match. I thought that was hilarious.
He couldn't depend on his world champion.
Exactly, which is, like, maybe that's rooted in truth, maybe that's storyline, but either way, that's a great line, and I love it.
Yeah. What about you, Tyler? Did you get a chance to watch Dynamite?
Yeah, I did. It was a really good show. I think it was probably one of the best ones here within the past month or so.
Agreed.
They hit on all the big matches, like you guys said. One I'm really excited to see is Tony Storm and Mariah May. I think they've done really well with that.
They've done a great job with that, man. Exceptional.
And I think also, it was probably the biggest crowd AEW seen at a Dynamite in a long time.
That goes a long way too, man. Yeah, there's probably 6,000, 7,000 folks in that place or something like that. It seemed pretty packed.
Yeah, and they were into everything, not just the main event stuff. They kept that energy the whole show. And I think that really shows. It's probably going to show AEW like, hey man, we gotta get back here for some regular stuff. And it's funny that you make that point. Obviously, I listen to Jeff Jarrett's podcast a lot, and so at the very beginning of his podcast, he really talked a lot about the WWC, which was the first thing after WCW. This guy in Australia put together a tour with all the WCW wrestlers and a few side guys, and they toured Australia. And the thought is these guys don't get wrestling here. They don't get, WWE doesn't come every year. WCW doesn't come every year. And so they built this tour around the international thing. It is very expensive to tour internationally, is my understanding. It's obviously, it's a lot goes into that, and wrestlers don't want to be away from home. But if AEW didn't come back to the States for like 4 months, let's just say they toured Europe, they toured all. You trying to tell me that you wouldn't be like, oh, well, there's no more empty fans. They're not playing small arenas. They're playing places that, like, they go to Cologne, Germany, and all of a sudden there's 9,000 people, right? They go to Brisbane, Australia, and there's 11,000 people. They go to Sydney, and there's 50,000 people. Like, that might change the aspect. And I think if you could get your team on board and make it work financially, why not, right? Like you said, that international audience, like you said, Tyler, that goes a long way.
in that. So I'm interested to see what they do with the Australia. Obviously, he mentioned on the media call today that Australia is on the board and they want to do that. And I think it would make sense for them because, like you said, in America right now, they're not drawing huge houses, which is whatever. They're still drawing huge houses at their PLEs, which is the main
Which
thing.
is all that matters,
right.
yeah.
And so it's like, I get it. And it doesn't bother me. I do watch, I've watched Collision being at that esports arena in Austin.
It was awesome.
It feels really cool, right? It's really cool, but it's also small, and it feels very TNA-esque, which is tough because their production is obviously significantly better than TNA's. So I don't know, man. A lot to think about with that, but let's get into it. We're gonna break it down here. We're gonna start with the Casino Gauntlet match. Surprise if you think anybody's gonna surprise entrance, and who you think's gonna win. Brad, I'll start with you.
It's going to be Ricochet winning as the surprise entrance. I think that's the only logical guess here.
Okay. What about you, Tyler?
I think that Ricochet will be the surprise entrance. And just kind of based on AEW's history, for some reason, something's telling me Orange Cassidy's going to win this thing.
Okay. All right. So surprise entrance, but Orange wins. I'm going to go wild off the. I'm going to say Shane McMahon. And
okay.
I'm going to say Shane
Best
wins.
in the world.
I'm going to say Shane might win just for fun. Or maybe he comes out with somebody in support. I don't know, man. We're going to see what happens. But I think somehow if Shane McMahon is going to come out, it's going to be at the beginning for sure for the Casino Gauntlet because you really want to get it fired up. And then that level of energy is there all night long. You know what I mean? Potentially. So Casino Gauntlet match. All right. This one, we weren't going to talk about it originally, but I do want to talk about it briefly because I hate the trios. I'm over it. I hate trios wrestling. I get it to a certain extent. 6-man, it's cool when you do it in the right format. I think consistently I've never liked it. So the London Ladder match is for the AEW World Trios title. It's the Bang, Bang, Gang, Guns Up with maybe the best entrance in AEW versus the House of Black versus a mystery team versus the Patriarchy. So I don't know who the mystery team is going to be, but now all of a sudden you're going to debut 3 new people. Like, what are we doing? That part's a little baffling to me. I'm not questioning booking because I'm not a booker, but like that part seems a little fucking WCW to me. Late WCW, not fun WCW. To Tyler, what about you, man? Who you picking?
I'm like you, man. I'm not much on the trios thing.
Yeah.
I think it takes I feel like Jay White, he should be doing something a lot more than just being stuck in a
Dude,
a
he's not even in the trios. It's Juice Robinson in the Guns. So it's not even Jay anymore.
I think I'm going to go with the Patriarchy and Christian.
Yeah.
Christian and
I also,
and,
I'm going to agree, and I have no idea who the mystery team's going to be, but so we'll see what happens. Brad, what about you?
I'm going to take a stab and say that the mystery team might be the Undisputed Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
It's really the only thing I can think of.
Cool, because they're fucking lame and not doing anything anyway right now, too.
Well, everyone's lame and not doing anything in this match, but
That's all. Think about this. Just let me list out those guys again. First off, Roddy Strong is one of my favorite wrestlers. I got chopped by him 12 years ago at a Ring of Honor show. It was awesome. Huge. I love Roddy Strong. What are they doing? Undisputed Kingdom fucking sucks. All right, House of Black. What are they doing? What is Malachi? They're supposed to be cool and
the amount of talent
they've done
in
nothing.
This match that nobody cares about is insane.
Yeah, dude, and like the Patriarchy, dude, Christian's keeping that thing together. Good for him. And Mama Wayne, shout out to Mama Wayne because Nick's kind of like whatever, and Killswitch, like God Almighty, I don't know, man. And then the Guns, obviously, and Juice Robinson are the best part of it. The Bang Bang Gang is a cool. I don't love that they're part of the Bullet Club still. They're like the golden. I just like it as the Bang Bang Gang. I think that's cool. Their entrance is awesome. They do a good job in the promos. So there's so much talent. There's so many things you could be doing, and at least they're getting on the show, right? But like, fuck, man, the trios title, gross. I hate it.
I'm gonna say Bang Bang Gang wins this one though.
I hope give them back some gold. I don't know. I think they got to break up the House of Black though. If I'm being honest, man, because Malachi Black.
I think Buddy Murphy needs to go back to the WWE, but.
Yeah, that TK, can I help out mommy? That was like the best at SummerSlam when he tweeted that. I was like, man, we love Buddy Matthews. Good for him. All right, AEW World Tag Team Title match. FTR, Young Bucks. Everybody loves the Acclaimed. I'll kick this one off. I'm gonna go with. I'm I'm going to go with the Young Bucks keep it. I don't really know where their storyline's going as the executive thing. I really thought it was cool a lot, but it's one thing that's drug out a little bit long. Their gear is trash. I hate it. I want to go back to the Jordans and the fun thing with the confetti and all the shit. But I do think that they're going to keep it. The Acclaimed really should be the World Tag Team Champions right now. I think they've done a great job, but I don't know that I don't know, man. They're almost like only catchphrasey, right? That's like their thing, which is whatever. They've had some great matches too, but I just don't know if they'll pull the trigger. So I'm going Young Bucks. Brad, what about you?
I'm going to go FTR.
I do love FTR. It's my favorite tag team.
I think we need to bring tag team wrestling back, and if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be them. Have them defend the titles every week on Dynamite. Really build those titles back up.
Against actual tag teams, not this bullshit they keep doing.
Right now, those titles mean nothing, and if you give FTR a run for 6 months to a year with them, and they're taking on teams that are established, and you build other teams up to face them at the PLEs, I think the sky's the limit with it, and that's what I would do at least. So that's what I hope happens.
I like it. Tyler, what about you?
I want FTR to win, but I do think it is going to be the Bucks. Like you said, as far as the Acclaimed, I like the Acclaim. I do feel like they're very catchphrasy, as you said. Max Caster, I feel like he needs to kind of separate from Anthony Bowens. I mean, Bowens is good.
I think Bowens is the better wrestler.
Yeah.
But
disagree.
Really?
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Tyler. I won't cut you off.
No, you're good, man. But I do think that Max is probably definitely going to has that more star power in him.
Sure.
So I would like to see them eventually split up. But I do think the Bucks are going to win, and like you said, I don't know where they're going to go from here, but I think if you keep the gold on them, they can keep up that we're the EVPs, we run stuff, make the rules type thing. So I think they'll keep it.
Okay. Yeah, man. Back to the Caster thing. The reason I think that Bowens is a better wrestler is that he carries a lot of the matches that I've seen. Max is typically the hot tag, and so Billy Gunn's involved way too much. I just want to hear him say "Scissor me, Daddy Ass." I don't need to hear any other Billy Gunn stuff. But yeah, I don't. That's kind of why I thought I do want to hear why you think Caster's the better wrestler.
I just think star power wise, it's there. He connects with the audience a little bit more. Sure, maybe in ring.
Yeah, I was only talking about in ring. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
I thought we were talking.
Oh, not like star
spectrum.
the whole thing.
Yeah,
No. I was just talking about that. And I think when Caster does turn on Bowens, it's going to be cool. It's going to be big.
Yeah, I think Caster has to be the one who goes heel.
Sure.
That's it. Bowens turning heel.
Yeah, but it just can't be done. In my opinion, I don't think he has that in him. It's very similar to the Wes Lee thing being heel. Yeah, I'm out on that deal. All right. The worst match on the card, Hook versus Chris Jericho. Tyler, I'm going to let you kick this one off, man. Hook or Chris Jericho?
I think that Hook's probably going to take it. I'm the new learning tree thing.
Can they both lose? Can the FT can Taz lose as well? What if the FT they just like, all right, all three of you guys are off. Taz, Jericho, Hook, you guys all got to go. Big Bill, you can stay, but we're going to give you a new name.
Yeah. I'm not much of a Big Bill guy. I mean,
he looks like a star, but they are just absolute dog shit right now with that whole thing.
The slick comments that Brian Keith throws out.
That was hilarious last night when he was like, big ass Wembley, and I was like, hell yeah, he's funny. He's very good too. He's a great wrestler. I like his character, but yeah, learning tree, man, that's fucking terrible.
Yeah, the whole high guys thing. I feel like it's
so bad. That's the one time I've ever seen Chris Jericho not get something over, because he's pretty much gotten everything over to a certain extent. Like the high guys thing is maybe the first catchphrase he hasn't gotten over.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's so bad. So
I kind of feel like it's almost like it's a heel thing that he's getting the right type of heat for, and it's for some reason, I know it's completely different, but it sort of reminds me of the List Jericho.
Yeah, but List Jericho that's what I'm saying. List got over. This is like not getting over at all. Like you just made the list. That was funny. Everybody enjoyed that. This is like
at the same point though. Like I'll echo what Tyler's saying. He's supposed to be a heel.
Sure.
You're not supposed to like him.
So you're not supposed to like him.
The art of being a heel these days is completely shot. Everyone wants to be the cool heel that everyone likes, but then by that aspect,
someone's got to play the shit heel, right? Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, someone's got to play the annoying one for sure. Okay, who you going with, Brad? Hook or Jericho?
God, I don't care.
I literally couldn't care less. I've tried to care and I can't.
If they bump it from the card, we all win. I think the audience loses in this one, and I'm sure Jericho's going to win.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I really, really like Hook as a person who doesn't say a word.
Yeah.
His cornball like faces that he makes where he's like trying to like be angry. I'm like, bro, just you're the cool guy with the hair and the
don't make facials, just be a guy who's kind of almost like similar to Matt Riddle on his indie run, where he's just like the guy who shows up and kicks ass.
Right. Like that's really what I need from Hook, and I don't know. I agree with you, man, but I do think Hook is gonna win, obviously get that payoff and take it back from Jericho. All right. Up next, the coffin match for the TNT Championship. Darby Allin versus Jack Perry. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm not a Darby Allin guy. He does cool shit, and it's like cool highlight on, but it's almost like the Jeff Hardy thing. I wasn't a Jeff Hardy guy either, so it's not really for me. I do hope that Jack Perry wins, though. I think Jack Perry has deservedly so done an exceptional job as the scapegoat. He's really turned his whole thing around. He's believable as a bad guy. The new title belt's cool. And I hope he does a real glass comment to the camera. I think at this point, it's like everybody else beats a dead horse, right? CM Punk gets to beat the dead horse all the time. Oh, I'm the poison. Like, he gets to beat the dead horse every interview he does. Let Jack Perry hit it one time. Then, cool, man, and do that spot. So I'm going Jack Perry. Brad?
Yeah, I think Jack Perry has to win this. You've got an established star in Darby Allin who can really elevate Jack Perry in this match. You're going to beat him in his own match. He's famous for the coffin match. He had that one with Paige. God, that must have been like 3 years ago now. But I think this is the way to elevate him. And I'm with you, man. I don't get Darby. I think he takes dumb bumps and he's going to hurt himself.
Yeah, I think he kind of likes that part, and that's okay too. But it is what it is. Tyler, what about you, man? Who you picking?
I'm going to go with Jack Perry as well. Like you, I'm not too big on Darby Allin. I mean, some of the bumps he takes are pretty cool, and you know
that's what it is, and I'm cool with that. If that's what it is, he just doesn't do anything else for me.
I personally don't see why they have really elevated him to the level that he's at right now.
Yeah.
And Jack Perry, I mean, he's took in a really shitty situation, the stuff that happened with Punk, and it's completely turned his career around.
Agreed.
I mean, if that stuff wouldn't have happened, like I mentioned a few episodes ago, he would have been stuck being Jungle Boy with probably Luchasaurus, and he would have just been in the mix, and nobody would have cared about him even more. So.
I agree wholeheartedly. All right. Here's the big one. Here's one of the big ones. Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné, to the point of last night I thought was excellent. I really thought Britt's comment, you were 1 of 4, I'm 1 of 1, and I saw people comment. I thought that was good. I saw one comment, though, that really got me where it was like, this is like if Hobson said that to another rapper who was like established, and I was like, damn, y'all really don't like Britt Baker. And I agree, man. Sometimes the stuff she does in the ring is weird and awkward. Like last night when she did the splash thing was terrible. They could have ended it with just, I really think she should have just thrown the chair over the table at Camille. But otherwise, I thought it was cool. And I do find this matchup interesting because Mercedes can almost work with anybody. But I'm going to go Britt Baker, man. I think bringing Britt back on top, all that stuff you heard about Britt and MJF and all these things, I think Britt gets the win, man. Tyler, what about you?
I think Mercedes is probably going to win, but I want Britt to win. I'm not huge on Mercedes. I think a lot of her promos are really cringy, and it's like nails on a chalkboard for me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem as believable as like the promo that she was cutting versus Britt Baker.
Yeah.
Sounded like way more serious on Britt Baker's part, more, ass kicking, actual good promo.
Yep.
Whereas Mercedes was just trying to go back and forth with her, and some of it just was not my cup of tea. I think Mercedes will win, but I'm really pushing for Britt.
Okay. All right. I do think I should have said I do think Mercedes is going to win. I picked Britt, but I do think Mercedes is going to win because of the Camille factor and continue to build that. Brad, what about you, man?
Yeah, I think they should put it on Britt. She had a hell of a run the first time she was the women's champion, and this would be her first run with the TBS title, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be another way to elevate that title more. But I think Mercedes is going to win, and we're going to be stuck watching those promos every week.
Fair enough. All right. Up next, the other women's match, the AEW Women's World Title, Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May. Maybe the best overall story from start to finish, that just story-wise, where we're not focused on in-ring, we're not story alone, right? Everybody, they don't have any stories. This may be the most complete story AEW has done all time there in the company, in my opinion. Brad, I'll let you kick it off, man. Who you get pick? What's your thoughts?
It's been a hell of a story. I think the only way this makes sense is if Mariah May wins. It's the big payoff. You know, she's fought back from Toni Storm being her lackey. She won the Owen. She turned. It was great. The visual of Toni Storm covered in blood
Yeah, it was
after the heel shot
unbelievable.
was
Yeah, they did a great job.
cinematic TV. Shout out RJ City, who I'm pretty sure has been writing this whole story.
Oh, yeah, good for him. I really like his EU podcast thing. It's really funny. I like to see the clips on that.
I think that it's got to be Mariah May. I think it's going to be a hell of a match. I think the story's there behind it. You're right. It's the best story from start to finish AEW's done. But we'll see if they capitalize on ending it the right way or if they extend it and make it boring.
Sure. Fair enough. Tyler, what about you, man?
I'm going to go with Mariah. Like you guys said, I mean, there's not much better in AEW than that going on right now.
Right.
The whole story, I mean, from, like you said, from start to finish has been one of the best. And I'm a big Toni Storm fan. I think the gimmick she's got going on right now is awesome. I think she's done it very well, especially compared to the Outcast bullshit she was doing before.
Dude, the Outcast thing is trash. Saraya may be the most useless. That's the whole thing has been not her personally, but just like that whole thing's been terrible. Yeah, we talk about that.
Yeah. But Toni Storm, you know, I really haven't, I hate to say it, but I'm really not too much into women's wrestling, but I think it's really brought an excitement for me to be really, really interested in this.
They've done a great job. Yeah. That spot, I don't know if you guys saw the thing last night that Toni did with Paige, the whole spot in the corner thing where it's like the old school where she was kind of like very like kitschy wrestling thing. It's actually a spot that Becky Lynch did with Saraya Page previously, and so they put them side by side. It was kind of an interesting take to see Becky Lynch do it versus Toni Storm. I hate red lipstick. It's the grossest thing of all time. It creeps me all the way out. So Toni Storm's thing the whole time has creeped me all the way out. But they turned her from being this great heel into a great baby face with the turn with Mariah. The Mina Shirakawa thing has been awesome too. There's a lot of great women's wrestling in AEW. They haven't got to showcase it because some of they haven't got to showcase it as much, in my opinion, because they haven't done a great job with a lot of that. But I am very excited to see this, and I'm interested to see what happens. I am going to go with Mariah as well. I think it'll be a good one. All that to say, you know, I want to mention one other thing about that. We're talking about the Mercedes Britt promo where she AEW has the best production when it comes to entrances, and it comes to their they do a really cool job cinematically with their story stuff, right? Where they're like replaying the story of the packages and all that stuff. But for some odd reason, they have the worst produced other stuff. Like the in-ring promo thing is produced weirdly. The cameras swap weirdly. And I'm like, how do you guys have such a great creative team when it comes to doing design work and graphic design? And Tyler, you can get, I mean, you and me are very similar, right? We do a lot of graphic design stuff a lot. How can they be so good at that and yet so bad at the actual footage or the actual like live production it's so weird how it's like, I'm baffled by that. I mean, they are leaps and bounds. Their entrance screens and their entrance production is leaps and bounds better than WWE's. Obviously not with the pyro, WWE's pyro is great, but like, and the way they do the camera angles and all that stuff. But from a strictly creative side, they're significantly better. The music's more consistently better. The screens are cooler. But their in-ring sometimes production is so bad. That's so weird to me. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm going to get off my high horse. But anyways, all right, before we talk about the biggest one, in my opinion, but we're going to talk about the final countdown, title versus career, Bryan Danielson versus Swerve. First thing I'm going to ask is, do you think it goes on last? Two, what are your thoughts on the whole thing and who you think is going to win? So, Brad, I'll kick it off with you, man. Do you think it goes on last?
I think it 100% goes on last. I think it's been built arguably better than many of the title matches we've seen go on last in the past. It's a hell of a story. Especially if Swerve's winning. Like if this is it for Danielson, it has to be going last. But that being said, I think Danielson's winning. I think Danielson's probably got one last run in him. I think he'll probably be done at the end of the year, but he'll help. Again, I feel like a broken record on this. He's going to elevate that title more than it's ever been because he's, like he said, he's the best fucking wrestler in the world.
Preach. Tyler, what about you, man? Is it going on last?
Yeah, I definitely think that it's going on last, and they got a lot of matches that could go on last. I mean, the card is pretty stacked as far as main
especially
event
with British
caliber.
wrestlers. It's stacked with British wrestlers. So like that was why I asked, because it's got Mariah May and Toni Storm, both British. Ospreay, huge British guy. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of British wrestlers. I was like, there's 3 opportunities to go on last.
Toni Storm's from Australia, isn't she?
Oh, whatever. Mariah May's British is what I meant, right?
Yeah.
I meant.
You meant she's British by saying they're both British.
That's what I said. That's my bad. I'm sorry, Toni Storm. I apologize. If you're listening, I apologize.
I definitely think Bryan Danielson's going to win. I think the AEW title is the one thing that he hasn't really done or hasn't really captured since he's been there. And I'm pretty sure that I saw that he's wanting his last match to be in Washington at the Tacoma Dome. So at Wrestle Dream. So I'm thinking that he'll probably pick the title up. Swerve's had a good run, but I think Bryan Danielson will, like Brad said, elevate the title, have some hellacious matches, probably week in and week out, not just at the pay-per-views. But I think Danielson will get it.
Yeah, so I think the cool thing is about it is that while Wrestle Dream is obviously in Tacoma, Swerve is from Tacoma as well. And I did not know that ahead of time. So I was like, oh, this whole time we're basing it on Bryan Danielson's from Tacoma. They're going to have Wrestle Dream, but it's like Swerve is also from Tacoma.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if you do the rematch there.
See, that's where my thought is like, that's the only way to have Swerve losing now seems like a little too soon because he's done a great job in this feud and you're going to have him lose the first feud. Or is Hangman going to come out and cost him? Or is Hangman going to cash in? Are they going to do something different with the gauntlet thing? Does Hangman win the gauntlet? And then
I could see all that.
There's a lot of stuff like that. And so for me, I do think it goes on last, like you guys said. And the only reason is because it is title versus career. And they really have to build the AEW title. It has to be the main thing. Because when they've done it previously, they haven't really done a super great job making it the thing. Right, and I do think that Swerve has elevated it. Swerve's incredible. I had this conversation with some folks today. I was like, if you don't like Swerve, you don't like wrestling. Like he is everything that you want. He's got a great entrance song. He's got a great finisher. He's got a heater in Prince Nana. What more do you want? I can't. You're talking about how am I going to build a star wrestler? Like the only other thing is you make him 6'4". That's the only thing that you're talking about. The difference between him and somebody in WWE right now on top. You know what I mean? What's the difference between him and Damian Priest? That, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a better wrestler in the ring than Damian is. He has better entrance music than Damian does. He's a better promo than Damian is. Mm-hmm. And Damian was a world champion. So what's the Damian's 6'4", and that counts? So I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens, but I am going to go Bryan Danielson as well. I'm super excited for the match. And one thing about the promo that you were talking about too is they said the best wrestler in the world. He's like, a lot of people use that as a moniker. They say this thing and they do all this stuff. No, I really am. And I thought about that last night when he said that. I was like, damn, that's kind of unfortunate because everybody in AEW says, like, a lot of them say I'm the best wrestler in the world. Will Ospreay said it. MJF says it. Adam Cole. There's a lot of guys that use that thing, and so it's cool to see the real best. I really wish that they would have an actual best wrestler in the world tournament, rather than what WWE did with Shane McMahon. Maybe we could have an actual wrestling tournament. I don't know.
Something interesting to me is if Danielson does win and he does retire at the Tacoma Dome, like who would he put over in that last match? That's kind of an interesting thought to me.
That's a little bit what I'm concerned about. I'd rather I honestly wish he'd retire in New Japan when they do the combined event and do it after the first of the year. I think that would be better because you're going to give a little bit of a rub to New Japan, which they owe them. I mean, they owe
big time.
Huge. I mean, they've taken everybody. They owe them that, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good question, Tyler. Should be interesting. All right, last match. Obviously, MJF versus Will the Billy Goat Ospreay. I am going to go Will Ospreay. I think there is no way, shape, or form, and if they do have MJF win, which is fine, that's cool. Will Ospreay's already protected to a certain extent, but man, losing in your home country to MJF, what are you really trying to elevate MJF with that belt? Like, what else are you trying to do with that part of it? You have to put MJF back in the world title picture, but I also think Will Ospreay deserves to be in the world title picture because he's done a great job, obviously, with the promos. Like, that was a big concern. Everybody's concern is, like, can he cut a promo? He's been in Japan where that's not their thing, right? Unless they win a match, then they talk on the microphone. That's not really a thing. So, I don't know, but I am going to go Will Ospreay. Tyler, what about you?
I agree with you, man. I think I'm going to go with Ospreay as well. I don't think that there's any way that he loses. I personally thought that before the Owen Hart Cup, I was thinking that they're going to do Ospreay for the world title in Wembley.
I
which
can't
thought
believe they didn't,
awesome.
to be honest with you. I think
I'm shocked.
I'll tell you
I think
this,
it might
though.
have been too predictable, though.
They have done an exceptional job with the amount of time that they have had it because MJF has done the whole American title thing, went to Mexico. Now he's doing it in, like, they have done a great job with a small amount of time that they've built the story. So, yeah, that's a good point, Tyler. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, I was really, and I feel like they also kind of like booked themselves in a corner with that. I don't know if they were just trying to copy WWE with the King of the Ring, getting a title shot for winning the tournament. Like I said, I was really hoping to see that there, which would have been awesome for him to win the world title in his home country.
Yeah, especially with a rematch against Swerve, right? Because he lost the first one, so it would have been a rematch. Might have been cool.
Exactly. And like you said, I don't think that MJF winning this match is gonna do anything for him really. But I think it will, help elevate Ospreay even more than where he's at. But like you said, also they're both main event guys. Both need to be in the world title picture.
Yep.
And that's where I think that goes back to too many belts, man.
Oh, they got 1,000 way too many belts. Dude, every title they have is too much. They either got to separate Ring of Honor and make it an NXT type thing, and keep it separate and stop bringing them onto TV. They've got to do that, man. It's too much. I don't really know what they're doing with that, and they've got the international title, they got TBS title, they got the women's title, they got the trios title, they got the tag team title, they got the world title. There's a lot of shit, man. Holy hell, yeah. It's a lot of shit.
So I think Ospreay definitely takes it.
Okay, what about you, Brad?
Yeah, I think Ospreay has to win this. I almost think this goes on first.
Yeah.
Really start with a hot match to open the crowd. Like, everyone will get into it. You get them all high with Ospreay winning.
Sure.
I think MJF, like you guys have said, he's already in the main event picture. He doesn't need this belt.
Sure.
I would have Ospreay win and then cut a promo on Dynamite saying that he's above this belt. He wants to do title against whoever, whether it's Danielson or Swerve.
That would be sick, and then get rid of it.
And then you get rid of that belt and you build to, that big match. But what I can see happening,
I just did that on my WWE universe, for those wondering. I just went through the title belt to get rid of one.
I think what happens is Ospreay wins, throws it in the trash, you have a UK title.
Sick.
Which I don't love. But
yeah, whatever, European title, whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, let's hope that there's some sort of match where they combine those titles, because there's entirely too many belts.
Yeah, it's too much. And that's a classic New Japan thing. I mean, obviously they've been doing that forever. They started doing it in the early 2000s with the never open weight thing. Then they added that, and then they added Strong in the last 5 years, and they've added all that stuff. It's like, bro, what? Why?
The only thing that makes sense with the Strong title, though, is it's supposed to be your North American title, but
yeah, no, I get it. That's what I'm just saying. Like, they added so many, they already added that. I always thought the never open weight were cool looking, but there's like, why do we have extra belt? Why do we have the Intercontinental? Why do we have the U.S. heavyweight? Why do we have the heavyweight? Why do we have the junior heavyweight? Why do we have the junior heavyweight tags? Too many. All that to say. Well, All In, man, is going to be electric this Sunday. Obviously, if you're watching, let us know your thoughts, man. Let us know who you're picking. Comment. Let us know who your thoughts are, who you think's going to win as we get into it. With that being said, we've made it through the All In. It's time for the randomizer. This week on the random question of the week, and I thought this was really fun, Brad, when you texted me this morning. I've got a list, obviously, of random questions of the week, and this one specifically, if you could referee any match all time, and you were not a special guest referee, you're just the referee, you get to step in and you're in the middle of, I've asked this question, which match would you be in, or what wrestler would you be, but what match would you be the referee in just to be witness that close and be a part of it of all time? And Brad, you are our ref, so I'm going to let you kick it off.
Man, there's so many options. There's been so many good matches over the years. The first one that jumped to mind is Punk and Joe, one of those hour-long ones, just to see if I could do it.
Sure. Like back in the day, you talking about Ring of Honor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ring of Honor, Punk Joe, probably Punk Joe 2, because that match was incredible.
Sure.
That's the first one that pops in my head. But then you have Taker and Shawn at Mania, which is arguably one of the greatest Mania matches of all time. But then Rock Hogan would have been insane to be the ref for that. Feeling the electricity in that match.
Yeah.
I'll give you those 3. How about that?
No, that's great. That's great. Tyler, what about you, man? I don't know if you've ever thought of this question, and I thought of it today, so I thought it would be fun.
It's a good one. It's definitely a good one. I would say my first choice would probably be Rock and Hogan. Just because, like Brad said, you feel that electricity. I mean, sitting on the couch watching it on TV.
Sure.
So I feel like that would be awesome to have been in the crowd, much less in the ring while that match is going on, all that stuff happening around you. Another one, let me
just pause real quick and tell you, being in the crowd for that match was one of the most insane things I've ever
you were there.
experienced in my life. Yeah.
I was in Toronto.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
We thought the stadium was going to collapse because it was shaking with noise. It was insane.
Crazy. All for Hogan.
Yeah, 100%.
Just think how everyone has turned on Hogan in the last week.
That's crazy.
Yikes.
But another one that I want to definitely mention, and the only reason I would do it is to change the outcome, would be Starrcade 97.
Okay.
Sting and Hogan. Get all that bullshit out of there. Have a good match, a good finish, a good payoff.
Bret Hart's coming in to enforce, and he's just chucking him out of the ring. He's like, nope, I did my count. Fuck you. Match is over, you bitch.
It's crazy. So I would like to be the ref in that one, just to manipulate the outcome a little bit.
That's a good answer. That's a real good answer.
A good one. Okay. I've thought about this obviously because I came up with the question. And first, I like that you said 3, Brad. So I'll go with a few here for me. First is Andre Hogan Saturday night's main event with the not WrestleMania 3, but Saturday night's main event, because it's the first time a referee, in my opinion, obviously there were probably some, the Dusty Finish is a famous thing, all of that stuff, but that match is the most watched wrestling match of all time, right? There's like 35 million people watched it live or some stupid shit like that, right? So it's crazy. Just to be a part of that would have been excellent. I think that would have been really cool. Second, Iron Man match, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. And third, Shawn Michaels HBK Montreal Screwjob, because I think that would have been, I really think there's only 2 people in America who could have done that and felt like they could get away with it. Earl Hebner and Earl Hebner and his brother. What's the other one's name?
Dave.
Dave, thank you. So I feel like, that would have been an interesting scene, because you are now a part of history in all 3 of those matches, not the Iron Man obviously, but Hogan and Andre, because you're the first time they've ever seen the referee be a part of something so intricate, and then to be a part of something so intricate as the Montreal Screwjob. One of my favorites.
So let me ask you this. If you're reffing the Montreal Screwjob, do you let it happen or do you change the finish?
Fuck yeah, I let it happen, man. I just said I was trying to see if I could handle it. Although I'm probably not telling him to put the sharpshooter on. I'm probably like, hey, man, can you just hit him with the fucking super kick? And then I'll quick counter some shit. Like, why do we have to do his own move to him? That seems like petty as whatever. But
salt the wound.
Yeah. But yeah, man, one of my favorite things. All right, last one. We're gonna do it. One has to go. And with All In being this weekend, I've got my All Out shirt on. Shout out to Punk and Hanger. I figured we would do AEW entrance music. I think, as I mentioned earlier, AEW has some of the best entrances. They have the best, as you can see, I picked the Orange Cassidy one in the bottom left so you could see like all of the intricate things that they do for a entrance. So it is One Has to Go AEW entrances. In the top left, it's Everybody Loves the Acclaimed. In the top right, it is the man himself, Swerve Strickland, whose house? Swerve's house. In the bottom left, it is freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy coming out to Jane. Not his other one, not the Pixies one, the Jane version. And in the bottom right, it is Judas, Chris Jericho. So one has to go. Tyler, I'm going to kick it off with you, man. Which entrance are you getting rid of to never see again?
I would say, I think that's pretty easy for me. I'm going to go with Orange Cassidy.
Oh, my God. Who doesn't love Jane?
It's not bad, but when you think of the other three, I mean, they all have a little bit more to it than what Orange Cassidy's got. You got the Acclaimed. Caster comes out doing some crazy, ridiculous runs.
He does say some pretty crazy shit. He's way worse than Cena ever said.
Yeah, absolutely. You got Swerve who comes out, everybody in the crowd's dancing.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't know if that's due to Prince Nana. I would,
Dude, he's even throwing the cup right before Swerve. When I was like, damn, he's right on. I never noticed it until like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, holy shit, he hits that on cue every time. That's impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just an awesome entrance.
Yeah.
The music itself is great.
Sure.
And then Judas, I mean, that's pretty much like the epitome of the crowd
when
interaction.
He comes back out to Judas the next time, it's going to hit.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, Judas kind of speaks for itself. So I'm going to definitely get rid of Orange Cassidy's.
Okay, all right. Brad, what about you, man?
I'm going to take some heat on this one, I think, but I'm getting rid of Judas.
Okay.
I think the other three are just perfect. I think the Jane song fits way too well with Orange Cassidy. It's been iconic with him. I think, like Tyler said, the Swerve entrance, you can't get rid of that. It's one of the best in pro wrestling, and the Acclaimed one it's their whole gimmick. If you get rid of that, they're just two guys. So I
agree.
think
it's almost like the New Age Outlaws thing. It'd be like
100%. It's like the New Age Outlaws thing.
Yep.
So I think the Judas one, it's cool. Like it's fun to see the crowd singing along, but I think it overstayed its welcome, and if I never heard it again, it would be too soon.
Damn, getting rid of Judas. Wild. I can't even believe that shit. All right, well, I'm actually going to get rid of the Acclaimed. Unfortunately, it would mean we never see those guys ever again. I'd never hear Scissor Me Daddy Ass, but like you said, man, I mean, Swerve Strickland's is incredible, right? The Flash Garments thing. He's got that new version with Bun B, which is really cool. They do it differently at each PLE. They've had a different style of entrance each time. DJ Who Kid. They had the girls come out at the one, like exceptional time. And I think Swerve's actually a really, really great rapper. I like a lot of the stuff that he did with Hit Row and those guys. So I thought that was pretty cool. Obviously, I love Jane. That's why I put it in there. I thought it was a really cool one because they did that as like a really unique thing. And the way the production is as soon as that hits, as soon as that first actual bass note hits, it's boom right into Orange Cassidy's white screen with all the different things, and it's like insert move here, and it's like it's a really cool entrance as a whole, and I think it really adds to his character overall. And Judas is obviously Judas, man. I'm glad that I haven't heard it in a while because I think when it does come back, it's gonna smack, dude. It's gonna be.
I think when he comes back with it, it's gonna be electric.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna mean big babyface Jericho return, but man, that song, I heard it way too many times.
I feel it.
Way too many times.
I feel it. Well, with that being said, man, we did it. That was one has to go. We've gone around the mat. It is a big week in wrestling, man, and All In is obviously one of my favorite times. I've been to All Out. I've been to All Out. It's a great time, and I'm very excited to see Sunday's pay-per-view. It's also a matinee pay-per-view. Who doesn't love a matinee pay-per-view? I start my new job next week, which means, man, I get to go to bed at a normal time because the pay-per-view is over at 5.
Especially an AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah, right.
Still might end at 1 a.m.
Exactly. Yeah, just like it starts at 11 a.m. my time and goes until 11 p.m. Unbelievable. But, man, thank you guys for joining. Shout out to Tyler. Bottom right, Brad Myers in the bottom left. I am at the PJ North, and we just went around the mat. Until next time, when we go back, around the mat.